Hello there and welcome into BTN Soccer Report. Once again, Kevin Egan alongside Chicago Fire goalkeeping coach Aron Hyde. Well, Aron, we sat here 1 week ago, we previewed the Big Ten tournament and not even a magic 8-ball would have helped.
Yeah, that's right. How wrong was I for all the results? I mean, definitely the tournament had everything. Penalty shootouts, come from behind to win games, and then 1 versus 7 in the final. 1
versus 7, which you very, very rarely see in a tournament with top against bottom. So the bracket was a very interesting one. We've got Indiana came through the first game against Michigan State. Penn State upset Ohio State. You had them going to the final.
Yeah, that's right. You know, Ohio State will be very disappointed with the way the season's ended. Losing in their previous game against Indiana, definitely cost them.
Well, Wisconsin qualified also. They beat Michigan 2-0. And Penn State went on to beat the Badgers to qualify for the final. And on the other side of the draw, Northwestern and Indiana drew 1-1. And the Wildcats won in a penalty shootout. Dramatic scenes there. So the final, Northwestern against Penn State. And that's obviously our game of the week. Penn State, runners-up last season to Michigan. And they were determined they were a determined side early on. And they got off to a flyer, breaking the deadlock midway through the first half. A wicked Minvu strike.
Yeah, I mean, question on the goalkeeping here, Tyler Miller. Maybe unsighted, not ready. Soft goal, really.
Well, Northwestern were rewarded a controversial penalty when Oliver Coupe took a tumble. But Aaron, it looked to be outside the box. Penn State lads clearly not happy.
Yeah, not only was it outside the box, but for me, not necessarily a foul. I mean, it's a tackle from behind, but definitely wins the ball first. Poor decision from the referee.
Well, Peter O'Neill stepped up and with his trusty right boot, struck it neatly into the bottom corner, 1-1 with 25 minutes remaining. Penn State goalkeeper Andrew Wolverton had such an impressive tournament but was helpless on this occasion. The Wildcats took the lead just 9 minutes later after some sloppy play in midfield from Jacob Barron. Nick Gendron fed Coupe, who used his strength, speed and technique to fire brilliantly into the roof of the net.
Yeah, great finish from Coupe, shows his power, his pace, rifles it into the top corner.
Outstanding stuff from Coupe, the senior. And Penn State desperately looked for an equaliser. They tried on several occasions. This shot from outside the box, but Tyler Miller was up for the challenging goal. So congratulations to Tim Lenihan and Northwestern, a first Big Ten tournament title. 2-1, the final in Ann Arbor. Well, Northwestern, a really brilliant success, holding off the likes of Indiana and Ohio State to win both crowns. And of course, they ended the season on an 11-match unbeaten streak, second longest in Northwestern history. Aaron, we've got a very deep conference here in the Big Ten. You saw that clearly there, 1 against 7 in the tournament final. Northwestern, were they worthy champions on both counts?
I think so at the end of the day. I think you've got to give him a lot of credit. You've got to give Tim Lenihan a lot of credit for how he's turned things around, sort of slow start to the season. They built on that, and as 11-match unbeaten streak, and they beat Indiana. Worthy champions in my books. Give them a lot of credit.
Now, the Big Ten Conference may have been a little disappointed that Penn State didn't win the tournament final because the Big Ten would have had 3 teams in the NCAA.
Yeah, that's right. Penn State, if they'd have won, obviously they'd gone through. Obviously, Wisconsin were right there in the mix. To get into the tournament with an at-large bid. Ohio State, they've got to have been thinking as well that if they could have maybe won one more game, that would have been enough to maybe get them in as well. So, unlucky for the Big Ten and the conference itself that maybe we could have had not only 3 but 4 or 5 teams in.
Oh, absolutely. 2 is a little disappointing, but we can always work on that. Well, our actual selections for the tournament were Indiana and Northwestern. So it's an interesting look for both teams. Indiana have a first-round bye, and they play the winner of Liberty and Old Dominion, and then Northwestern play national champions Akron.
Yeah, which is amazing if you think about it. Northwestern have got to have been looking at the draw on Monday and thinking, that they would, stand a chance of getting a bye, and then Indiana, they in fact get the bye into the second round. So. Both teams will have tough challenges ahead of them.
Absolutely, but I've no doubt they can challenge. At this point, I'd like to welcome in John Boschini, college soccer writer for soccerbyives.net. John, your overall thoughts on the Big Ten situation in the NCAA tournament?
Well, I'm going to start with Northwestern, and you mentioned that Akron is their opening game, which is difficult. If Akron plays up to their talent level, then they're one of the top 4 or 5 teams in the country. But the problem with Akron, unlike in last year's, is they've been wildly inconsistent. So if Northwestern can catch Akron on one of those off nights, then I think Northwestern has a shot. And if they can get past Akron, none of the seeded teams in that division are particularly difficult. So they can go pretty far if luck is on their side and they play up to their potential. As far as Indiana, they're going to enjoy their first round bye. If they hold serve at home and North Carolina does well, that's going to be a really difficult game in North Carolina in the round of 16. But North Carolina is susceptible to a mistake-prone game as well. So I would say Indiana has the tougher road to go deep in the tournament, but both teams have a shot.
Absolutely. Now, Indiana, Aaron, may have to play North Carolina. You don't look too far ahead, but how good are Indiana?
Very inconsistent. We've talked about all season. It's been a big problem for Indiana. They haven't played badly, but they haven't done enough for me on a consistent basis throughout the season to say that they can go to North Carolina and get a result. Yeah,
it should be very, very interesting. John, on a national level, you picked Maryland a little earlier on in the season. Now, are you sticking with Maryland?
From a pride standpoint, I am, just because they were my preseason pick. If I were to look at it objectively, they've been pretty poor in the last couple of weeks or even the last month. Their defense has sort of fallen apart. They've been unable to keep clean sheets. They still have a lot of attacking power, and that can get you far. If you were looking at it from an objective standpoint, the two best teams in the tournament probably are North Carolina and Creighton. Both have been as consistent as you can be in college soccer. They've got pretty solid defenses and some pretty amazing attacking players. So for my own sake, I'm going to stick with Maryland, but if you're a betting man, you might want to go with either Creighton or North Carolina.
Creighton or North Carolina. Interesting, John. Aaron, you fancy Creighton, actually, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. 7 straight clean sheets. 4 goals all season is what they've conceded. Ethan Finley up front, very, very good player, scoring goals for them. You know, funnily enough, they are now coached by former UNC Elmer Blogovic. So, you know, I would potentially say that UNC and Creighton could make it to the final.
It's going to be a very, very interesting tournament. John Boschini, thank you very, very much for your time for now. Well, we're going to turn our attention to the Big Ten Women's Tournament for a moment. We had 3 fabulous results in the first round. Illinois, Penn State and Ohio State all advancing. Aaron, fantastic for the Big Ten.
Oh, huge, you know. Illinois, they go and beat the former national champions, Notre Dame, Penn State. You know, we said all year we think that they can go pretty far in the tournament. And then you know, again, a lot of credit to Ohio State. Not only, you know, they get a tough draw away at Tennessee, but they go there and they thump them 3-0. So, you know, very impressive and, you know, well done to Ohio State.
You're eating a bit of pie after that one?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely didn't see that one coming through. But give them credit. And, you know, there's the magic of a tournament and a knockout competition. Anything can happen from here.
Absolutely. Well, Illinois head coach Janet Rayfield spoke to our Lisa Byington earlier in the week, talking about how you take a tournament game by game.
Well, I think the thing that you have to focus on is, you know, and I tell them, I don't know if we can win a national championship, but I know we can win one soccer game against anybody in the country. So that's what we need to do on Friday, and that's what we needed to do on Sunday. And I think those deep runs, you make them one game at a time, and you focus on that, because, you know, if you look too far ahead or look too far behind, it just becomes a distraction. You really just have to focus and say, you know what, we can win one soccer game on any given day, we think, against any team. And so we just have to take them one day at a time.
Some great thoughts there from Janet Rayfield. And her game is against second-ranked Oklahoma State, Aaron.
Yeah, tough game. You know, they cruised through their first-round game 9-1. Obviously, they've got a lot of ammunition, usually up there on every, you know, year in, year out, pushing for titles.
Yeah, you'd fancy Penn State against Marquette, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think you'd like to say so. And then, you know, Ohio State.
Come on, say something nice.
I don't necessarily want to say something nice because I might jinx them. So, no, definitely, you know, it's going to be tough. Maybe they found that little bit of rhythm. You know, on the road again is going to be difficult. But, you know, why not? Why not?
Why not? Well, Ohio State will look for the likes of Paige Maxwell and Danica Wu to really kind of spur them on in this game. So that's all our time for now. Aaron, cheers for your time. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Make sure you follow us on Twitter at BTN Soccer Report. Again, please get your comments and thoughts into this guy. Best of luck to all our Big Ten teams involved in the action this week. Until next time, take care.